So, we're now going to look at how you carry out a percentage increase or decrease. Now in this video we're going to focus primarily on the calculator method, but we will show how to do it by hand as well within that. So, let's imagine a situation. A t-shirt costs £20. The price increases by 20%. What is the new price? So, now, there are several ways to do this, and there's one that I want to really encourage you to use because it will allow you to tackle harder topics later. You can learn a simple way, but you will then find later on you can't access those difficult questions and marks. So, the two methods, one of which I'm going to tell you not to use. Method 1. Well, this is probably what you're thinking right now, and it's a good idea for a simple question. What is 20% of 20? If we find that, then I add it on to my £20. That will be fine. It's a good method, and it will work nicely in this situation. In fact, I can calculate 20% either by hand or using the calculator. If it's by hand, I'll find 10% first and then 20%. If it's on the calculator, I'll convert this into a decimal and a multiply, like on part 4 of the video. So I'll jump the decimal point 2 spaces back to get 0.20. You can leave the 0 off if you wish, times by 20. Or I'll find 10% is 2, so 20% is 4. So the new cost of the t-shirt will be £20 plus the £4 increase, and will be £24. There's nothing wrong with that, unless you later on want to tackle repeated percentages quickly, or you want to reverse a percentage. So right now you're probably thinking, I like that method, I'm going to stick with it. Well, please don't. Let's have a look at a different way, which is just as quick, and once you get your head around it, will save you tons of time. So, let me slightly rephrase the question for you here. Okay. After the t-shirt increases by 20%, what does it now cost? What is the cost as a percentage? If you remember from previous, the original cost is 100%. So what is the new cost after the increase? Well done if you thought it was 120%. Now, if the new cost is 120%, all I have to do is find what 120% of the original cost is. And this will be the new increased answer. You can see it's an increase from looking at the sum because this is greater than the 100% you started with. And if it was lower than the 100% you started with, it would mean it is a decrease. That's right. So, how do I find 120% of 20? Well, let's move the decimal point back 2 places. 1.2 that will give me. So it's 1.2 times 20 is 24. Now, let's compare these two methods briefly. In the first method, you find the percentage as an amount, then you add it on. Here we did the multiply at this stage, and then we did the add. In this calculation, what did we do? We did the add first, and then did the multiply. Both have led us to the same answer. Now the good news is, this calculation is really easy to do in your head. So once you get the decimal in your head, you can just type that into your calculator in one go. That won't always be the same up here. When you have tricky numbers, you won't be able to just add them, and you won't be able to calculate your multiply here. So you will save time. And this method here, we will call the multiplier method. Because what you're doing with the multiplier method is you're finding the decimal multiplier that allows you to find your percentage. So, we're now going to have a look at finding a set of these multipliers. Not doing a calculation, but just finding a set of these multipliers. And we're going to do some increase and then some decrease. So, I'm going to give you the first one. When you increase by 20%, you times by 1.2. I'm going to write some down here for you to have a look at. Give you a minute, or you can pause the video, and then we'll do the same for decrease. Because once we get our head around this multiplier, we can then calculate away with ease. Okay, there are a set of sums. If you want to, this is the time to pause the video and have a think. So, here we go. A 30% increase. Well, that's 100% plus 30%, so that's 130. So that's 1.3. 50%, so that means you're adding up to make 150%, which is 1.5. I'm going to do a little check here. I'm going to write 150% down. I'm going to jump the decimal point 2 places. 32% takes me to 132, which is timesing by 1.32. Now, just to be clear, here it says 1.2 times, and I'm writing times 1.2, but they're the same thing. 28% times 1.28. Remember, this is an increase, so it's the original 100% plus the extra. So you're doing an add in your head. So adding 15.5% takes you up to 115.5%. Move the decimal place 2 steps, and you're getting multiplied by 1.155. 23.7% is 1.237. 120%. You have to be careful here. Remember that an increase, we're adding that percentage onto 100. So when I add 120% onto 100, I get 220. Move the decimal point 2 places, and I get 2.2. Now let's check that makes sense. If I was to double something, I would be increasing it by 100%. Well, so this makes a lot of sense. Increasing by 235 takes me up to 335. Do my 2 jumps is 3.35. Now I think we'll tackle decrease in the next video. But hopefully you've got a pattern here. We know to add on the percentage to 100 and then do 2 jumps with the decimal point to get our multiplier. And when we do reverse percentages, you'll go, this method saves me a heck of a lot of time. So, percentage decrease in the next part.